Welcome to TopShot NFT. I'm Jason with always my boy Lennox. Lennox, we had a great interview on our last episode with Alan Carr from TopShot. He really gave us so much insight, and then the world of TopShot just went on an axis unlike anything I've ever seen. It was crazy. Give us the scoop, give us the update, the state of the union for NBA TopShot right now.
Yeah, I think for that, the average user, and I definitely consider myself the average user, it's been much of an emotional roller coaster. So I can remember on Tuesday night being woken up by an emergency pack release, and I think it went from 2:30 to about 4 o'clock in the morning. What was unique about that release was there was a one per person limit. The system was kind of slow. So, I found myself up awake for an hour and a half. Then on Wednesday morning, there was another release, and that went much faster as more folks in our time zone was awake. Finally, this is Cool Cats Mania. Everything Cool Cats, right? So on after the release of the common card, there was an email saying that, hey, if you try to get a Cool Cats pack and you didn't get it, we're going to give everybody, we're going to email everybody a link and they'll have the chance to buy the pack. So luckily, I think you and I were able to get that. And then on top of that, there is a Cool Cats lottery that should hopefully be dropping sometime soon to notify folks who signed up via that link and see if they got Cool Cats packs as well. So in a nutshell, it's been kind of crazy, but a lot of interesting and emotional things happening in these last couple of days. These days seem like weeks right now. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oops, got an alert there. I thought that was my TopShot alert. It's what's so weird to me is that when you just for the Cool Cats, like to expel upon that, like the lottery, I think they said that there was something like 9,000 packs left for this lottery, and there's at least over 70,000 users. So if everybody put their name in the hat, and I'm guessing that there's actually probably more than 70,000 users. So you're probably at like a 1 in 10, maybe a 1 in 5 chance of getting one of the lotto packs. Like Lennox said, we were lucky because we were trying. The Cool Cats drop in all regards have kind of been a bit of a debacle because we've tried a few times, like the whole system crashed. I think the first time there was one release and it went like super fast. And then that was amazing because the Cool Cats that were, then on the marketplace were just super, super high. And what's interesting is those prices really haven't tailed off as much despite like an additional 10,000 packs being open. I believe they're at like 40% left to be open or something like that. So we're about like kind of in the halfway. They actually have a challenge to get a Luca. So if you're holding all 5 Cool Cats, and then there's the 5 other selected cards. If you get all 10 of those, then you're eligible to get the special Luca. And yeah, and that's just for Cool Cats. The drop, I call it Linux, and I was like, man, talk about like some sleepless nights, because if you were awake and you caught it, like then great, you got to spend an hour or two trying to chase down packs in the middle of the night. And then if you were asleep and you woke up and found out that you just missed out on 20,000 packs, then you lost more sleep because you missed out. Days now are blurring, and we started this not even a month ago, and it literally feels like it's been years. I can't. The base packs is what we really kind of need to like kind of figure out and break down. Like, is it worth it, in your opinion, to be ever vigilant and be willing to like wake up in the middle of the night to try and get these packs?
Well, I think if you're a budget NBA TopShot person like I am, I think your best entry point is to grab a couple of packs. If you get lucky, maybe that gives you a chance to trade for something a little bit more high value, and it gets you in the game. So I think for the newer person or the person who's on a budget, I think the best way to get into Top Shop and to kind of have the experience is to get to some of those entry packs. So I do think it's worth it, especially as a way to get in with the low entry cost.
It's interesting because we'll take it back to when you first called me up and said, hey, you should check this out. Like, go ahead and buy a pack and see what you get. And literally, that pack was, I think, I can't even remember a good pull that I got from it. I think I got Killian Hayes, and you were trying to tell me, oh, that's a good one. And you looked on the marketplace at that time, and most of them were like $1, but you were getting, if I'm correct, it was 10 cards for $9 or $12. So it was like, okay, like I kind of broke even, and literally like all those cards are now, at least worth, like 30, $40, and certainly some are even more ridiculous, um, in the hundreds, and they're not even like your premier players, the LeBrons, the Lucas, or even like your middle tier guys, like, and I would say someone like, like a Kemba Walker, like who's a good player, but he's not going to light the world on fire. I wonder if he even has a moment. I haven't seen
I
him.
don't think he does yet because he was hurt, so I doubt he has
Yeah.
one.
And that's kind of interesting too, because you might pull, let's say, like in the next opportunity that if Kimba has a moment, if you pull that moment, it might not seem like a lot now, but if that's his first moment that's issued down the road, that's going to actually be worth something because it's his first moment. And that's one thing that's really been kind of interesting. So we're going to get into this really deep now, but we were lucky enough, our first specialty pack was the deck of hoops, and we were lucky enough to pull LeBron from it. And we partnered up on it because it's so hard to get. And so it's like whatever we get, like we split. And so we pulled the deck of hoops LeBron. Last Monday, we sold it for $8,000, which for a $200, $250 pack seems like a great pickup. I think when they first went on the marketplace, they were around like 1,500, 2,000. If you look at a deck of hoops LeBron now, the cheapest you can find is 30,000. And I don't, I can't lose. I can't, you can't have buyer's remorse in this game. Like you have to just take your wins and just roll with it. But I can't. I have to just stop looking at the decks of hoop LeBron, right?
Now, the one way that I don't think that's exactly true because what Jason and I did, and I said, hey, Jason, you know what? And we spoke on this in previous podcasts, but what is the most iconic moment in our opinion right now in the Top Shot series? And we discussed back and forth, and we said, you know what? The LeBron James commemorating Kobe Bryant's death, that seems like one we should grab. So with the proceeds that we had from the sale of that LeBron deck the hoops, we used that to buy a LeBron tribute Kobe dunk. At the time, we paid, I believe, $2,100 for that card, and as of today, that card is between $85 and $9,000. So definitely a good story there. But I think the whole purpose of this podcast is this thing is really emotional, man. Sometimes you're up really high, sometimes you're really low, and I think through it all, it's good to, what is your plan? What kind of investor are you? My thing is I'm more of a front end guy. So what does that mean? I'm all about packs. I'm all about buying guys extremely cheap, and I'm hoping to maybe hit a home run. So in general, my strategy, again, like when do the packs come out? How can I set an alarm on my phone? How can I get a network of people who can notify me when packs go out? What can I do to make sure I have a chance to even try to get a pack? How about you, Jason? What is your strategy as a Top Shop investor?
Mine is a spread offense. Like when packs are dropping, I'm getting everything that I can, and I'm staying up until they're gone. Because there was times where like it was so frustrating. It would say like processing order when there was no order to process. There's obviously been tons of glitches and crashes and trying to figure out like what are we doing wrong. And I think the reality is it's not that we're doing anything wrong, it's that they're just not equipped to handle everything. And to the to their credit, they're still in beta, so we can give them a bit of a pass, but for how long? Because the traffic and the exposure that this is getting, you're going to retain your early adopters like us, and probably a lot of people watching this. But what about the casual guy that's coming in? And so, first of all, we should probably say it at the top of every show. We do not give advice. We do not, we're not strategizing. We're not trying to get you to invest with us or anything. We just love the product. We're excited. We're, basketball guys. So this is just our way of kind of passing along any kind of information we get. We're going to have more guests on as well that are going to provide more insight. And what was fascinating about the Allen interview that we just did was, while we thought that was great content for you guys, it was exponentially educational for us too. So we're just sharing it. With that said, I've had a couple friends reach out to me that, have been watching the podcast and hearing me talk about it. And I'm not the type of person that talks about like any of my businesses or investments and say, hey, come on. Like, I'm not a multi-level marketing type of person like, Mary Kay or Amway or something. But my number one advice is take a look at the site, get familiar with it. And whatever you have that you feel comfortable with, just like if you were going into a casino, like, you don't know how to play blackjack. So if you have like $500 that you don't mind, you're not upset to lose, then take that and then buy the packs, buy packs for sure if you can get them, but then buy some cards that you like, like obviously a LeBron and Luka are probably priced too high for someone that's casual and first steps up into TopShot. But one of my favorite players who shares my last name, Montrezl Harrell, like I definitely picked a card up of his. I love Marvin Bagley III. Like, he was a Duke player. I'm a Duke fan. I think that he has great potential. He just hasn't had the best of luck early on in his career. So I got him. I got a Tyus Jones. Same thing. I think, these guys can have good careers, but it's also someone I like. I'm not really going to be looking to pick up a Nasir Little. He went to Carolina. I can't do that. But as an investor, I would actually, if he starts, turning the corner and stuff and has moments released, then that's different. So the best thing is the packs. That's where the number one value is, and especially in those specialty packs. We've been debating a lot on the challenges, and this is the first challenge that we've really been able to be a part of, and that's the Cool Cats challenge to get the Luka. It's interesting because right now, if you were unable to get a Cool Cats pack, you could potentially buy all 5 Cool Cats, and it would be about $1,200 or $1,300. It'll probably change, and this might not even be relevant if you're watching like a month from now. Is that really a good move to get that Luka? What do you think, Lennox?
I think it depends, right? I think that 5 cards for $1,400 or $1,500, that's a lot of money. That's a big purchase to consider. I myself, I'm trying to nickel and dime my way, right? So I've acquired a couple. I'm on the Discords. I'm trying to trade people. Hey, I got, Zion Series 2, and maybe I can throw in some real cash. Just finding a different way to get there. I think if you can, one thing that Jason and I argue about back and forth is how many mints of the Luka will there be? Obviously, there could be a maximum of 5,000. We had a over/under bet. I'm thinking that it's going to be over 2,500. He thinks it's going to be much less than 2,500. It'll be really interesting to see the market dynamics and how what happens. What does the price happen to those cards when everything is on the marketplace, right? So right now, I think only 40% of the Cool Kids packs have made it online. So what happens when we have all 100%? I don't know. What happens to the Cool Kids cards value once the Luka drops? How does that work? I'm not sure. It's really, really interesting, and I'm curious as to how it's going to play out.
And this is going to happen because it's so early. you're going to make so many mistakes. And
Absolutely.
the number one mistake because I don't think the Deck the Hoops LeBron was a mistake, because I took my profits from that and reinvested it all basically back into Top Shot. And not only did we get the Kobe LeBron together, but I've also managed to make some purchases that I'm pretty excited about. That are I got some Lucas that were kind of undervalued, and the market has just skyrocketed in such a way over the last week. It's definitely not sustainable. But now, does that mean that um, we just don't see the growth, or does that mean that we see like a big pushback where a LeBron that you had for, well, actually you've got the LeBron. So Lennox pulled a LeBron, and when he pulled it, it was 50. Now it's around 2,000.
At its height, it was 2,300. As of today, it's around 1,900.
So if there's like a market correction, does that market correction mean that that car goes to like 400? I don't think that world exists anytime soon. I don't think it ever exists, to be honest. You know, um, if you ask, like when we first got involved with this, I was just, I was like, maybe I can't see a long-term play. Maybe that's my old brain thinking, like, but when it comes to a strategy, I think that there's definitely a world where you could really kind of put some effort into this, getting packs, holding, and who knows, make an extra 50,000 this year, like just by buying packs and holding on to them and getting a little lucky as well. And then for the more advanced and a bigger bankroll, you can definitely load up. Like I'm definitely spending more money than I would have ever felt comfortable on day one. Um, but as you learn, as you grow, right? I want to know, um, you're talking about like selling cards. So we did when we opened one of the first packs. I pulled a Jason Tatum 21. I can't remember if it was a metallic gold, whatever it was. I sold it for 125, and I can't even look at that one because I'm pretty sure it's hitting $1,000 now within 2 weeks of me selling it. Um, how what do you say to somebody that's going through a little bit of what I'm going through?
I would tell them at the end of the day, it's a digital card on a computer screen, and I don't say that to diminish anything. I say that to mean that, in my opinion, even 150 bucks, that's material money, right? So I think we have to kind of take it back to real life. Like, hey, what could I actually use with this money? So in my mind, it's not a mistake. It's a new market. You're exploring it. You're trying to figure out how it works. You're trying to figure out the intricacies. And it's not like you lost. You didn't lose money. You had a $230 pack, and it
Yeah.
was just, I mean, it was life changing. A life changing 230 bucks. It's awesome. It's really interesting. Now, in terms of the market, I was in Bitcoin and some other cryptocurrencies in 2016, and it was the euphoria. It was amazing. Everybody was making all this money until the music stopped. So I do want people to recognize this is a market, and prices do shift, and prices can shift dramatically and in a short period of time. So you always, in my opinion, you always want to take profits. You always want to have something to show for your effort, something for the research, something for staying up to buy the pack. So just keep that in mind as you collect what you like, but also understand if you're in it for more of the financial aspects, be aware that this is a market, and markets are dynamic, and markets do change.
Do you think the two record breaking purchases this weekend were Zion and LeBron for $100,000? Now the discussion is that they need to raise the bar on how much you can actually buy these cards for, because the max that you can list a card for right now is 100,000. Well, we've already kind of hit that, and those are arguably not even the most sought after moments of Top Shot. If you were, I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was Levine or something that bought the $100,000 Zion. and you like you were able to do that. What do you think? Like, are you thinking that, this is just like I'm holding this as a long term hold because in like 5 years I can sell it for 5 million? Or is there a world where you can hold it and then by the end of the season, maybe it's worth 500,000?
Well, I think at the end of the day, we are in the cryptocurrency field. Although the NBA Shot doesn't make reference to cryptocurrency or blockchain, at the end of the day, we are pioneers in new technology, right? And pioneers get compensated for taking risk. So um, that $100,000 purchase, it could truly be something special in the years to come. It's a very volatile. I mean, it's scary. It's it's difficult to ponder somebody spending $100,000 on a digital card. However, uh, I found people who are bold, people who take risk, people who kind of go out on a limb. That's how you win. That's how winners are made, in my opinion.
You know, uh, for the listeners that don't know, like my background is I was a professional poker player for 7 years. Lennox was an avid poker player pre-COVID, and I equate. I'm so grateful for having that background for many reasons, but especially in something new like this. So, as a professional poker player, you, I was never near the stratosphere of like a Phil Ivey, Phil Hellmuth. Like, let's be honest. But I was able to make a living and play a game doing so. I had I I had certain tangible things and experiences that poker gave me. It bought me my first house. Um, it allowed me to travel and experience like a lifestyle that was really exciting. I decided to call it quits. So that's the only difference as far as this. Like, the biggest fear is that it's going to go to zero. Um, I don't really see that happening. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is that let's say you're a 22-year-old kid, you get lucky and you pull like some LeBron and you sell it for $50,000 and you're 25. And worst case scenario with that $50,000, you spend the next year just blowing it, like partying and going to Vegas, doing whatever you want, right? 40-year-old version of you might look back and there's a lot of people that think that when they're 40 they're going to look back and be like, man, that was really stupid. But I tell you this, and I'm not recommending doing it, like I'm be a little bit conservative, but that's pretty awesome. That's like a once in a lifetime thing. Experiences in something tangible, because at the end of the day this is all virtual. So like if you're trying to make a profit, don't be mad if you know like if this bought you a brand new Camry, right? Like say you took all your profits and you bought a brand new Camry, and then you go back a year later and look at all those cars that you sold for that Camry, and you could have bought a Ferrari. You still won. You still got something that and in those moments you couldn't get. And don't be silly. Like don't think like this is a career. This is just a moment. And we'll see how far it goes. The best thing I tell people, because the first thing they're like, here, let me just give you some money and turn my money into $1,000 into $10,000. It's like you're not getting it. Like this is so much more to me than just even a money making opportunity, because I love basketball. It's given me a new reason to watch and follow basketball that excites me. Um, but also like the community is, the Discord can definitely be toxic. But I've already met some pretty insightful people, and you kind of get some good information. You just like mining for gold. You got to sift through all the mud. Um, that's been kind of like I'm not trying to stand on a soapbox and preach to the younger generation, but certainly for any of the '90s kids that were collecting cards, and we never saw really a return on those cards. Like I had everything, and today they're really not worth what I thought they would have been when I was collecting. But I had an amazing time doing it, and it was a good experience. I really feel nostalgic with Top Shot.
No, I definitely see your point and where you're coming from. I wasn't as big into cards, but I am a huge basketball fan. So the collector in me enjoys the chase and the hunt, what have you. When Jason and I first spoke, and I mentioned this in the previous podcast, I was a huge Keldon Johnson fan. So I was like, Jason, guess what? I'm going to buy every Keldon Johnson I can acquire for $1. So I bought. And as soon as it touched $2, I stopped buying. Like, no more $2 Keldon Johnsons. And ironically, I go check today and it's around $8. So that is kind of fun to have a little small win like that. And at the end of the day, I think that if we take the money thing away from it and look at it from, hey, these are cool basketball clips that I can access at any point. I think that's kind of cool at the end of the day. It's kind of cool.
It is kind of crazy too. So there's a guy that has a YouTube that does a bunch of pack opens named Crypto, and I don't know what his story is, like his background, because he only shows his screen. So he could be 18 or 80. I have no idea. I'm sure he's younger than 80 though. And there's a new website where you can kind of look and see what everything that you do, everything that you own is visible. Like there's no hiding. So like someone sits there and tells you they've got a #1 LeBron, then you just pull up their account and be like, you're full of it. I love that aspect. So for this particular guy, he's got a YouTube channel. So I looked him up, and I love what he does because he's so exciting when he's opening these packs. And without knowing exactly how much he's put in, but he's got a pretty good sized 6-figure portfolio. And now that website's been really kind of screwy. So sometimes I look and mine is like a quarter of what it actually is. So who knows where he's really at? But if he just stuck to the strategy really of just buying a bunch of packs early on, and I believe his first video was like 3 months ago. So if he just bought packs and just held on to everything and never really sold, then he's totally crushing the game. Now, when we go into base 2 and we're already in there, they said that I was reading something, and I believe we're around 20% exposure for base 2. So that means there's going to be a lot more packs to come, and we'll really kind of be able to tell what does a LeBron that's got a 12,000 plus CC on it that's selling now for what, like $200-300. Well, what is that? What happens when there's 12,000 of them? Or if it continues and it goes to 15 or 20,000 of those cards, I think that there's still value, because at the end of the day, a pack is $10, and almost instantaneously, like you can kind of make your money back. But will it be a $300 LeBron? Will that hold the value when it gets more saturated? This is where we go back and forth, and we don't really know. Linux, what is your projection, Nostradamus?
Yeah, I wish, right? I wish I was Nostradamus. I'd make a ton of money here. It's hard to say. Right now, all we can do is look at historical card sales, right? And right now, the biggest limited edition closeout was around 7,500. Mm-hmm. One card that sticks out in my mind, and I know you have a couple of them, are the Kevin Durant limited edition card, and I believe that's trading around $300. So I'd imagine a couple of things come into. I contemplate a couple of things when I think about a value of a 12,000 CC card. Number one, the moment in and of itself. Like, how is the moment? Is it memorable? Is it worth looking at? Number two, who is the player? And LeBron James' case, I mean, one could argue that could be the biggest moment of the 2021 season. He's making that three-pointer, he's turning around, he's staring at the crowd. Like, he's never done that before. That's amazing. And I believe he did that to win the game, right?
Right. No. No, they were killing them. They were up by but so it wasn't a game winner. That, oh my goodness,
I wish it was a game winner. But even that being said, that to me, it's the moment. And another thought, like when you talk to folks and they're asking you, why in the world does a digital card have value, something that you can only look at on a computer screen? My rebuttal to that is, why would a print on a piece of cardboard, why does that carry value? You
Yeah.
know, so that's kind of a interesting way to look at it, right? And then I'm not going to get into Bitcoin, but you have to look at what is value, why is it valued, and where are we? Where are we in this digital age? So that's a story for another day, but just things to contemplate.
You know, it's funny because there's going to be a point, like everything, where you we're going to walk into Starbucks and the girl behind the counter is going to be like, "Oh, I see you're wearing a Pelicans beanie. Do you have any Top Shot cards?" And as soon as that moment happens, then we know not necessarily that the ride is over, but that everybody knows. And that's what happened with Bitcoin. Like for those people that were early on, and adopted it really early, everyone, there were so many people that were, well, what's Bitcoin? What's Bitcoin? But the moment that it became so mainstream, and that was the same time, it was right around when it hit to 20K, and all these experts like, invest with me, I'm a Bitcoin expert, and they had literally just gotten lucky and bought in a couple months before. That's why we say we're not experts by any stretch, but that there's not they just started putting YouTube ads out. We haven't, to our knowledge, when we're recording this, there has not been one television commercial during an NBA game. There's been very minimal rumblings about Mark Cuban, Tyler Hero, um, Bogdanovich, I believe. Like, it's so limited on the actual exposure. It's just been hearsay and like word of mouth. So when it does, like that's the only thing that I keep thinking about. That keeps me from actually really even moving any of my inventory right now, is because once we're out of beta, once Joe Public is aware of it, then where does it go? Because you got to understand, like, if we only have 100,000 users, and that's not even active, just there's 100,000 accounts, that's really nothing, you know like, it's really small. So maybe 12,000 cards is actually still rather rare.
So I think to your point, we're definitely early, definitely. And you have to give the Top Shot team credit for creating utility amongst their cards. Like, these challenges are ingenious, right? So hold these cards and you get this limited edition card. So it places value on kind of holding your cards long term. Also, we can't forget that they have the what word do I want to use here? They have Thor's hammer, if you will, right? So what happens? What happens today when they say, "Hey, we've got this specialty released Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal"? It is going to bring a level of interest that we've never seen before. So that I think we've made it when they press the red button and they bring out those caliber of players. That's how you know, like, okay, we are here. They always have that in their back pocket.
They had a challenge where you could get a Ray Allen, and I look back over that, and it was the Got Game challenge, I believe. I'm not sure, but there's a series of it, and it's crazy because that Ray Allen's like, it's priced, it's 1,000, in the thousands card. I don't remember what it was exactly, but it didn't jump out at me. And to me, I'm just like, this guy's retired. It's Jesus Shuttlesworth. It's Ray Allen. So there's what I'm getting at is, like, there are some older players that you and me would totally geek out. Like, if they release um, a Karl Malone, certainly for me a Charles Barkley, a Gary Payton.
Charles Barkley would be a huge one.
Yeah, but then, as big as those might be, there's still a lot. There's still, I would put like the 20 somethings that don't really even know about those players, but they know Michael Jordan, they know Shaq, they know Kobe, and then of course like a Magic Johnson or Larry Bird, I'm sure would be pretty, you know. So
Kareem. I mean, there's so many.
yeah, they've got
I mean,
a. My biggest thing in the Discord is like, just pump your brakes. Like, you didn't get here late. it might feel that way, and you want the packs. We want the packs. You want as much as you can. I felt late because, like, we got in a month ago. It's like, God, why didn't I know about this on November? But you find out when you find out. It wasn't that I knew about it and wiped it away and then came back. It's like, this is when we found out. And so this is the growth. So in 3 weeks, we were sitting there looking at the marketplace, and they were doing what, like $50,000 in transactions a day. And then they just had a $6-7 million day, and Lord knows what each day thereafter has been. That's exponential growth. There's going to be growing pains. There's going to be growing pains for us too, because you're going to buy, I can tell you right now, if I was a college kid and I had a $10,000 LeBron in college, I'd sell that. And then maybe, in 2 months, when you see it's going for 50,000, you kick yourself, but man, have a good time with that 10,000, like buy a car, like, invest in, like I always say, invest in experiences and tangibles. Maybe don't buy the Rolex, but a car that you need, a down payment on a house, whatever it is, like, have your goal and then kind of hold it. We did a goal. So with the LeBron, we said, when it doubles, we'll have a conversation about selling. And our thought, literally, I mean, fair to say, like, we thought maybe a month.
Yes.
A month was fair. And there was probably even a little bit of hesitation, like, man, we're going to have to wait. And I think within 24 hours, it was halfway there. It was already at 3,000. And we made a bet. I want to say 3 days. I said it'll hit 4,000 in 3 days. And Lennox was like, nah. And then the next day it went to 6. And now it's at 9. So, like, within a week, it is 4.5x. So now we have to have a conversation on what we want to do. We've had that private conversation. We're holding on to it for now, but just make your own rules too. Like, set your number, and if it gets to that number, then pull the plug. But again, like, if you can make some short-term money, depending on your situation, don't the bird in the hand is worth two in the bush type of situation. Like, that's real. So is there anything else we need to cover? We've got we are constantly, if you've seen me looking down, it's because I'm checking my phone. There is 20,000 packs for release 10 that they've re-updated the site, and now that is up there. They're not for sale yet, but it says coming or up next. And so I'm anticipating another sleepless night. It would be nice if they launched them now. I'm blessed that I live on the West Coast, and the company is based in Vancouver, which is also my time zone. So I benefit, I think, a lot from that, because I get to sleep when they get to sleep. So.
Yeah, I would say, in closing on my side, if you look at the long-term viability of TopShot, number one, they're officially licensed from the NBA. I mean, what else do you need there? The NBA has shown that they run a tight ship and they offer an awesome product. Number two, as Jason said, there have been multiple sales, well, 2 so far, but $100,000. I mean, you have to account for that. Also, the volume each and every single day. So I myself sometimes go back and forth, but it does seem like something that, hey, this may not be a fly-by-night thing. This really could be something with staying power, and something to kind of go with for a longer timeline. But yeah, man, that is all I have on my side.
For you guys, thank you so much for listening. Leave us comments and questions. We're more than happy to answer them, and then we'll bring them into the next podcast. We're going to have some new guests coming out for sure. Definitely looking for a variety of guests, not only within TopShot, but in other tied-in communities. And what else? Subscribe so you can stay up to date once we once we get to 1,000 subs, then we can actually do some pretty cool things, and it gives us a little bit more ability to, get higher level intel for you guys. And I'd like to see what you guys think the Luca is going to mint at for the Cool Cat specialty. My number is 1,500. I think that it will not go to 1,500. Linux is at 2,500. So we'll split the difference. If he gets over 2,000 and I get under 2,000, then we'll see. We'll probably figure out something on our own bet. And then I think all I can say is happy hunting, guys. And, definitely go hard on the packs, do what you can, and have fun with it at the end of the day. You got a guy like, that you like, pick him up. If Cameron Payne or Sam Merrill is your guy, then move the market, buy all of them, and that's going to do it for me. You good, Linux?
All good. Thank you.
Until the next time, don't forget to subscribe, drop some comments. Check me out on Twitter at Bar Therapist. You can also find me on Instagram at Jason L. Harrell. But Twitter, if you want to contact me, that's where I'm at. So until next time, we're out.